Okay, can you all see my screen?
We can see it.
Great. All right, let me time ourselves here. So thank you so much for coming. Our presentation is titled Plurilingual Education in Foreign Language Programs, and I included foreign language here because it's language programs, but these are programs in Brazil. Decolonizing mindsets and empowering plurilingual speakers. So the two presentations before, I think, were very nice segues to our presentation. And this is a team effort. So it's a teacher, researcher, and pedagogical coordinators collaboration between Abraço Cultural, an NGO in Brazil, and McGill University. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the McGill University, where I am located now, is situated on the traditional territory of the Ganyagehaga, and probably many of us are also settlers in our own indigenous lands. I'd like to acknowledge as well the Fonds de Recherche Société et Culture for providing funds for this research, Abraço Cultural for opening the doors for us, and McGill University Faculty of Education Plurilingual Lab for actually housing some information from the project. The project can be seen in this link, but I also posted this on the Padlet. Something important is that our presentation will be pouquinho em português, pouquinho em francês, en français, e pouquinho em espanhol também. So we invite you all to be open to the languages in our presentation. And I'll pass the baton to Lana right now.
Our presentation today will cover the following issues. First, I'll briefly talk about the benefits of plurilingual education and provide an overview of the problem that led us to examine a plurilingual shift in language education. I will then discuss the goal of our project and also present the context in which our study was conducted, which is Sao Paulo, Brazil, and more specifically, Abraço Cultural, an NGO that is based in Brazil. I will pass it on to Debora and Pepe to tell us more about Abraço Cultural. John will explain the pedagogical materials, and Angelica will discuss the methods, the results, and will conclude our presentation. Next slide, please. First, I'll start with the benefits of plurilingual education. In fact, several studies suggest that learners often draw from their rich linguistic repertoires and engage in various plurilingual strategies in order to facilitate completion of low and high stakes tasks, scaffold lexical acquisition, and support their overall language learning. Next slide, please. However, monolingual language policies and ideologies still permeate classroom settings and continue to influence how language instruction is delivered in a one language only manner. Thus, the implementation of plurilingual pedagogy remains a challenge, mainly because this monolingual mindset is still prevalent. The examination of plurilingual education in South America is still in its infancy despite recent language policy efforts. Next slide, please. The goal of our research was one, to provide support to language teachers in the implementation of plurilingual approaches, and two, to examine the benefits and challenges across 3 language courses, Spanish, English, and French. Next slide, please. In terms of context, our study was conducted in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where learning a new language is often a source of anxiety among adults. It is also important to know that English is often the language taught in schools for years. However, only 10.3% of adults between 18 and 24 years old feel they have some knowledge of English, and languages other than English are rarely, if at all, taught in schools. Next slide, please. Now I'll pass it on to Debora and Pepe, who will tell us more about Abraço Cultural.
So Abraço Cultural São Paulo is a plurilingual and innovative NGO and language school that offers 4 language courses in English, Spanish, French, and Arabic. And what is innovative of our project is that all of our teachers, they come from immigrant or refugee backgrounds. So we have a multicultural team of 20 teachers from 11 different nationalities, especially from 3 regions in the world: Latin America, African countries, and the Middle East. So not only the language courses, but also our materials, they include topics in the language courses about social justice, about interculturality, refuge, migration, human rights. And this is the first, not only in Brazil, but also worldwide.
John?
Yes, I'm sorry. So for the project, we worked with a total of 3 teachers, one teaching Spanish, one teaching English, and one teaching French. We had a total of 18 participants from the 3 classes that we worked with, and overall, the level is A2 if we consult the CFR. The classes were intensive, meaning they lasted for about 2 hours per class, 4 times a week, and it was an intensive course that lasted over 5 weeks. All the classes were held in Zoom, and we had a plurilingual collaboration with the teachers, meaning the research team were designing plurilingual tasks in consultation with the teachers. So we modify the task as we go and depending on the teacher's suggestions. Overall, the teacher received some feedbacks as well as some readings before we started the collaboration in order to prep them to have some ideas about what it means to apply a plurilingual approach to their pedagogies. The research team also created 5 video tutorials. They're pretty short, about 2 minutes each, that were available to the teachers that explains different plurilingual strategies and how they're able to apply these in their classroom. And as I mentioned, we collaborated in designing 5 language tasks over the course of the courses. The readings were available in Spanish, Portuguese, English, and French. And we drew a lot from, for example, the Common European Framework of Reference for Language Learning, Assessment, and Teaching, some empirical studies, and other documents that would be helpful for the teachers. Yeah, so these are some of the examples of the readings that were provided for the teachers. So this is a playlist that we have. I think it's already public on YouTube, but basically we dedicated about 2 minutes each for one plurilingual strategy, explaining what it is, why it's important to use this, how it can be helpful to students, and we also include in the videos certain types of tasks or activities or lessons that can be used drawing from this specific plurilingual strategy. So I'm going to go over each and one and how this reflected in the language tasks that we designed with the teachers. So first strategy is cross-linguistic comparison. So if you're familiar with Nathalie Auger's work, Comparons nos langues, it's pretty much that. We explicitly, as you see in this table here below, ask the students to really draw from the languages in the repertoire and compare the different forms and meanings of target language features for that particular lesson. So this could be vocabulary, this could be grammar, or this could also be in terms of language use. Second strategy is cross-cultural comparisons, very similar to cross-linguistic, but this one we focus on cultural similarities and differences for language use. For example, in this activity for French, it's looking at how technology is used differently across different cultural communities around the world. The third strategy was stress languaging, where we asked students to really use and draw from the different languages in their repertoire to communicate or sometimes to decode new L2 target vocabulary or expressions. And in this one activity that was designed for the English class, they even had to navigate an airport in German, where they had to rely on other semiotic resources such as just the signs or symbols that they can see in the airport. We also had translation as mediation, where students directly translated items from their L1, for example, in this activity from the Spanish class, just to facilitate learning new vocabulary items and to also capitalize on learners' existing knowledge. And lastly, we had an activity for plurilingualities where we go beyond typical modes of communication, such as writing or reading or speaking. And for this activity in French, for example, they tapped into the students' knowledge of emojis as a tool for communication and how it might differ. Like the emojis meanings might differ the way we use it here in Canada or in English and the way they use it there in Brazil and Portuguese.
All right, so I'll provide an overview of the data collection process. So the data was collected from teachers and students over the course of 5 weeks. But today we're going to focus only on data from teacher diaries and the interviews, but mainly we would like to pass it on to the teachers themselves who are here to talk a little bit about that. So,
5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. So teachers received a weekly diary and they were supposed to talk about benefits of these strategies and challenges that they have noticed across the 3 languages. And we also had semi-structured interviews in the end via Zoom. So we are going to pass it on to Ludi right now, who's going to falar em português ou espanhol, Ludi? Em espanhol? Oh, Ludi, I think you're muted. Você está com o microfone.
Gracias.
Okay.
Sí, hola a todos. Primero agradecer a la oportunidad que Abrazo Cultural y Angelica y el equipo nos dieron para participar de esta pesquisa. Y bueno, fue una oportunidad que personalmente tuve para poder conocer las estrategias y usar las estrategias del plurilingüismo. Y lo más interesante, una cosa que me llamó mucho la atención a mí fue como, digamos, como un juego, poder, la posibilidad de estar en contacto y hacer las estrategias plurilingües, desarrollarlas, permitía hacer una especie de juego de desmontaje de aquellos discursos monolingües que nosotros tenemos dentro. Y este juego hace un desequilibrio que permite como este desequilibrio y volver a recomponernos de una manera inclusiva y que podamos permitirnos incluir otros, desestabilizar el patrón e incluir y ser más inclusivo. Entonces era como una danza y acho que es muy bueno como actitud para uno en el aprendizaje de idioma y para la vida. Fue muy interesante. Gracias.
Gracias, Ludi. Nour?
Well, hello, thank you. My name is Nour. I'm Palestinian Syrian and an English and Arabic teacher in the Abrazo Cultural. The experience of applying plurilingual activities wasn't easy for me as a teacher in the beginning, seeing the students very comfortable speaking in Portuguese. And I can't deny this drove me crazy in the beginning. However, applying the next 4 activities, I could see the improvement and the autonomy my students got. Everyone was motivated to speak, expressing themselves, lifestyle, and culture, and they were also helping each other to find the correct word in English. I realized how important it is to consider languages as a tool, and that there is nothing wrong with using other languages as if this serves the teaching process objectives and if it provides a self-learning environment where the students express their ideas the way they want and not say what we want them to say. Of course, not mentioning the importance of culture, which is the base of our school methodology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nour. Joël?
Hello, my name is Joël, and I'm from Democratic Republic of Congo, and I'm a French teacher at Abrazo Cultural. I don't speak English very well, so I'm going to speak in French. Donc, je participais au projet et je vais ici exposer un petit témoignage. Donc, ce que j'ai remarqué, c'est que par rapport aux différents aspects abordés lors du projet, c'était très important pour les étudiants de comprendre que communiquer ou s'exprimer, ce n'est pas qu'avec la parole ou seulement avec l'écrit, et qu'ils peuvent utiliser plusieurs autres formes de langage. Par exemple, nous avons utilisé les plurilittératies. Ça va, c'était quelque chose de très agréable, de très divertissant à faire dans une salle de classe. Je me rappelle d'une activité où à un moment, les étudiants étaient très fatigués vers la fin de notre cours et nous avons essayé de communiquer d'une autre manière. Donc, nous avons fait une activité où j'ai demandé aux étudiants de s'exprimer dans notre groupe de WhatsApp, le groupe de notre classe, mais au lieu d'utiliser les langages écrits ou oral, ils devaient utiliser des emojis. Et c'était quelque chose de très intéressant. Et je pense que ce serait très amusant de les faire de temps en temps dans une salle de classe. Et aujourd'hui, par exemple, avec mes étudiants, quand je sens qu'ils sont très fatigués, je leur demande, par exemple, d'exprimer des idées avec des emojis ou des opinions avec des emojis et demander à d'autres étudiants d'interpréter ce que leurs amis disent. Et c'était très, très, très intéressant d'utiliser cet aspect de plurilittératie. Merci.
Merci, Joël. So I'm just going to summarize pretty much what the teachers have already talked about. These are 5 main benefits that were found in the teacher interview. So the first one is that students felt empowered and enthusiastic to talk about what they already know, because it comes from a place where they can talk about their lived experiences and in any language. Students could also retain language because learning was connected to their lived experience. Students developed awareness of the languages in their repertoire and agency to communicate more freely. Students developed a lot of other skills: reflective thinking, empathy, interculturality, respect towards culture, active learning and creativity, and also the use of non-linguistic resources such as memes, pictures, and hyperlinks that we also found to be very beneficial for language and communication. So to just wrap up, teacher education in plurilingual pedagogy can challenge monolingual ideologies that is often present not only in Brazil, but we know in pretty much any post-colonial country, including Canada. Plurilingual pedagogy empowers students to have a voice in any language, broadens their worldviews, validates that plurilingual and pluricultural identity, and it also helps students and teachers and ourselves, researchers, decolonize our minds, shifting our perception from deficit in a foreign language to recognizing ourselves as plurilingual speakers. So to know more about the project, you can go to this website. It's called Plurilingual Shifting Language Teaching. And these are the references. And muchas gracias, muito obrigada. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And I'll stop sharing our screen.